Brian Johnson is the epitome of my demons. He is the reason I don't go to bed at night.
All right, well, there we go.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Coconut Curry Podcast, a podcast where we are officially on winter break. Much deserved, much enjoyed. If you're new around here, we are three college students. We go to the University of Pittsburgh. As mentioned, we're on winter break right now, and we chat about sports and hopefully offer a fresh new perspective on things. Sometimes we talk about our life. Stay tuned for the Christmas episode next week.
True.
If you're new around here, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps our channel out a lot. And happy holidays to everybody watching. It's great to be a sports fan during this time specifically because we got the NBA season finally heating up. I feel like everyone starts to tune in right around the Christmas time, and then the NFL season right now, like reaching its apex.
He's
we're like
Ja Morant.
Ja Morant is back. That was quite the entrance for him returning.
Before we go into anything else, did anyone see the quote of him saying like someone called 12 or something?
What?
Okay, it was. There was something. Someone tweeted like, "Ja, don't celebrate. Like, keep the celebrations down." He's like, because they were scared he was gonna like pull out. Gilbert Arenas he got suspended for a gun violation, and then when his first game back during his like walk-in announcement, whatever, he like flashed the guns, like, and they're like, "Ja, don't do that."
Well, that was like, who is the guy that got drafted from Alabama that had like the gun thing happen to him? And like during his
Brandon Miller,
they like patted him down. It was
like,
yo. Officer, I swear, I didn't know that I was dropping off a guy with a gun to kill someone. I didn't know.
I swear. All right, dog.
I love when players like, especially college players, have no self-awareness. It's like there's no way you didn't just like make fun of the fact that you were almost criminally charged with something,
with murder, with assisted murder.
that would be like Jalen Carter celebration after he gets a sack being a drive his car.
Jordan Addison. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, like Jordan Addison.
Oh,
like imagine Jordan Addison like pulled up his jersey and underneath was like I go this fast, like if you like, got a touchdown or like
I run faster than my car or something like that.
Yeah. Or if just college athletes have.
I promise I didn't bet on this game.
that would be so funny. Or if
that
he did
honestly
like
would be kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. If he was like, I promise I didn't bet on this game.
Anybody who's drug tested, like doing like like injection,
pretending
in the veins,
to pee in a cup or something. Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins. I promise I didn't take more horse trank.
Yeah, I promise, guys.
Oh, I forgot about that. Deshaun Watson spanking like scoring.
He gives him like a massage. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, it just would not be good. But anyway, aside from cringy celebrations that hopefully wouldn't happen, we're here to talk about Week 15 of the NFL and then preview some Week 16 games. We're gonna start with the big games, and
right into it.
We are getting right into it. And with the biggest story of the week, the biggest game of the week on Monday Night Football was the Seahawks at home defeating the Eagles 20-17. If you're not familiar, Raj and I are both big, hard Eagles fans. So Raj, we're hard Eagles fans, hardcore Eagles fans.
Well, not hard at the moment for the Eagles.
There's certainly none of that going around. Raj, like, I'll just kick it to you. Just give your perspectives on the Eagles dropping their third straight game.
You know, I was like, okay, we were going to drop one of these games, and it was to Dallas. I was like, or the Niners. I was like, okay, whatever. And then again to Dallas, but we didn't even put up a fight. Offense looked terrible. Fumbled 3 times from our big 3. Okay, you know what? Regroup, and we were on the road. Let's just kill Seattle because they have Drew Lock at QB. And all you have to do is just make DK angry, and he's gonna fight somebody. Like I said, have Reed Blankenship say something to him, and next thing you know, Reed's on the floor, and DK's ejected. Whatever.
That's why you should have sent in one of your third string guys and just fought DK and had them both get kicked.
We sent in Darius Slay with his post-op knee, just like
he's just standing there, he's like on crutches and just like trying to punch him.
Yep. And, I'm watching the game. That first drive, that's like a textbook, very good drive. We killed like at least 8 to 9 minutes, handed the ball off, smart play calling. We scored, and we took almost half of a quarter off the clock. And I'm like, that's a textbook drive right there. You killed a lot of time, you controlled the game, and we were controlling the majority of that game
You
until
controlled 90% of that game.
the last about 2 minutes, the last
2
Seahawks
minutes.
drive.
A
And
minute 30 seconds.
yeah, something like that. And that fourth quarter, just couple things I observed. We didn't need to send a deep pass to Quez Watkins. We really didn't
Yes.
need to do that. We just needed a first down and kept doing what we did the first
An
drive of the game.
egregious missed PI though,
That
but
was bad, yeah.
but you can't have
Yeah,
that happen. Like you just
exactly.
can't throw that pass. It's just
I
dumb
think
pass.
I think on that play specifically, because there were some Eagles fans like, well, they're not going to call the PI against the Eagles. It's like, yeah, but there's also a point of just don't throw the pass. Like
Yeah.
he was. It wasn't like the PI meant he wasn't covered. Like Love had him covered. I think it was
Yeah,
one
like it
downfield.
wasn't great coverage, but like he was still close enough that it's like, dude, you got to be like really trusting your receiver to get this ball.
Yeah, and it wasn't a first down. It was a 3rd down and 5 or 3rd down and
Yeah.
6.
Yeah,
that
like you
didn't
could have just
call.
thrown a quick check down. Like
Also, and Roger, we'll get back to you in a second. This has been the thing that frustrates me the most about the Eagles, recent with the play calling or decision making by Hurts. This team is the same exact team who said we view every 1st and 10 like a 1st and 9 because we can get a yard automatically on the tush push, and sometimes they get 2. So you can almost view anything as 1st and 8. So when they're in 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5 scenarios, you're only looking at getting 3 or 4 yards on any given play. So the team that prides themselves on, don't worry, it's always 4 down territory, is a team that's throwing the ball 30 yards downfield on 3rd down. Like, it goes against the exact thing they pride themselves on in the beginning of weeks, in the beginning of the season, where they're just like, yeah, we don't care if it's a short field, like short 4th down, we're going for it. But on 3rd down, they throw that out of the playbook. Because they don't put themselves in short 4th down territory because they chuck the ball downfield.
Yep, that's exactly what happened in the fourth quarter. Exactly. We were up by, I forget what we were up by. We were up at that point, and there was about, I think, like 5-ish something minutes left in the game, whatever was left in the game. And on that 3rd down, I was sitting there, I'm like, okay, cool. Just go game manager mode, Hurts. Just, get the first, do something simple. You have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Swift. You have a lot of talent on offense, and yet you threw a deep pass to Quez Watkins. I know he's speedy Batman, but there was no need to throw that deep pass on 3rd and 5. We just needed the first. And honestly, I kind of like having Matt Patricia on the sideline because the defense played pretty well besides that last drive, and that was only because James Bradberry got toasted.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think a lot of people after the game were like, well, Matt Patricia's defense, like, look at that, got cooked. Like, it didn't make a big difference.
Really
they got cooked in the final. I was like, and some people were like, it's Drew Lock. Whatever it was, the Eagles had let the Seahawks score 10 points at home on them in the first part of the game before the last drive. Mind you, they were starting 2 rookie cornerbacks. They were down like an all-pro cornerback in Darius Slay. They had constant injuries throughout the game. And they're in a tough spot all the way on the road, and they had let up 10 points throughout the game. Meanwhile, this is all while James Bradberry is getting cooked for 6 attempts, 6 targets, 6 catches, 102 yards, and let up a touchdown. Like, Bradberry gets cooked all game, and the defense lets up 20 points, and people were like, Matt Patricia's defense looked good this week. But the problem is when you're a team and you only score 17 points, you leave yourself open to losing games based on one lucky, one unexpected, one trick play. That's why you reduce your margin for error. And the Eagles had opportunities to score 20 points, 24 points, and so on, and they didn't take advantage of that. I think 1 minute and 43 seconds left in the second quarter, they get the ball back after the Seahawks scored, and I was like, okay, we'll run the clock down. We might have to kick a last minute field goal or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles ended up having to punt the ball back to Seattle because they had a completed catch and then like 3 straight incompletions. No, the clock doesn't run. They have to punt the ball back to Seattle with 1:43 left in the second. That was a prime opportunity to go down, get 3 points at a bare minimum. At least you don't have to give the ball back to Seattle, and they gave it right back to them.
Because, I mean, something like that you can kind of tell is the difference between unfortunately how the 49ers are just like a tier
Yep.
above the Eagles right now, because look at like the 49ers game. They were up like 42 to like 16 or something. They let in a stupid touchdown, like where like people just stopped playing basically, and the dude like ran into the end zone. And it's like, if you only scored like 20 something points, like Arizona could have been winning that game. Like if you only scored 3 touchdowns, like Arizona could have been up 22 to whatever. But because they're up by 45, it didn't really matter. Like, but then that's the difference, is like you see like, okay, well, there's a different tier of offense here where they are just putting the ball in the end zone every single drive of that first half, basically. Like they are barely ever punting, barely ever turning the ball over, and it's like they are just controlling it the entire time. So they can, things happen. It's football. Like some stupid crap might happen every once in a while, but you have that greater margin of error to let in something dumb like that happen. Then it's like, okay, well, we're fine. Let's just hold on to the ball for the rest of this game, kick a field goal. We're still going to win 45-22. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's simply, I think people want to keep pointing fingers to the defense because we had the whole defensive coordinator controversy. Sean Desai gets moved to the booth. He's still a defensive coordinator, but Matt Patricia is essentially the acting DC. They just don't want to. Yeah, they don't want to demote him. All that, a lot of drama. But at the end of the day, the defense doesn't have the star talent the offense has. I don't know if I can name a better situation offensively than you want to be in than the Eagles. You can make an argument for the 49ers, but the Eagles have two very good / great receivers. They have a very good tight end. He's underrated, but very good. They have Swift, who's a very good running back. They have
2 Hall of Famers on the line.
Yeah, they have 2 Hall of Famers on the line, and a line that is top 5 in the league, no doubt. They haven't been playing that great recently, but they have top 5 talent in the league, probably rated the best offensive line coming into the year. And even the side pieces on offense, like Rashad Penny, Boston Scott,
Gainwell, Watkins,
Gainwell, Watkins. They've got a solid team set there, and they have Jalen Hurts, who came in second in MVP voting last year and got a $50 million contract. So you look at the offensive pieces and you say that team needs to be helping out the defense, because what our team didn't spend money on was the secondary. So now as an offense, you need to that's what Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs did for years. They had Tyreek Hill at wide receiver. They had Travis Kelce, they had Patrick Mahomes, and they had a bad defense. And that's what the question mark for the Chiefs is always like, is their defense going to hold it together? And they did in Super Bowls, but it was on the Chiefs offense to overcome the deficiency on defense because they just had more talent at that position. The Eagles offense is not overachieving and covering for the mistakes that the Eagles have on the secondary. So I would never, even James Bradbury got cooked all game. He's a cornerback 3 right now with how he's playing, and he was playing like a cornerback 1 because of the deficiencies and the injuries to Slay. So of course he got cooked. Like he was playing one-on-one with receivers he shouldn't be playing one-on-one with. But as an offense, you have to score more than 17, and that comes down to Jalen Hurts not throwing 2 interceptions. As simple as that.
Came in clutch this game.
The
former Giant.
The first interception, in my opinion, is egregious. Like, you're throwing the ball in a spot of the field where it should not be thrown. You should not be throwing a deep pass in that situation. Just something I don't think should be happening in that spot. You've got a team, you can march down the field, whatnot. And the second one, you can say it was the end of the game, but there was still time left to get down and kick a field goal. You only needed a field goal. So you didn't end the game on an interception because you tossed a Hail Mary, or you needed to get 90 yards.
There's still time because you needed a field goal. You had 2 timeouts in 12 seconds.
We have 3 left. Elliott.
Yeah, I was gonna say with a kicker that has made multiple 60-yard game-tying, game-winning field goals. So your margin of error is a lot bigger there, and you throw it into double coverage.
Yeah, there was a picture of like it was like whatever the sky cam. It was like behind Jalen Hurts, and he missed Devontae Smith on the left side, who was pretty open. But the one that was egregious was Kenneth Gainwell. There was nobody. He was on like a 6-yard check down. There's nobody within 25 yards of him. That dude could have ran for 25 yards because they're at midfield. They're literally at midfield, like exactly on the 50. That dude could have ran and got 25 yards without anyone even coming close to him. Slid down, didn't even risk it. Take the timeout. You're good. You could have had like another 6 seconds maybe to try something, and then like you just kick a field goal and you're fine. But
And
they went for the Hail Mary and it didn't
what's
work.
concerning is, and this is the take I've been on more recently, is there's been a lot of bad sky cam footage from Jalen Hurts about him missing guys and throwing into coverage he shouldn't. And you paid the guy $50 million a year to be your quarterback making the smart decisions, and right now he's not getting the job done. He leads the league. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was gonna just say, like, do you think that that's Jalen making those decisions, or do you think that's the offense coordinator in his ear saying, like, throw this pass?
It has to be Jalen, in my opinion. And if it is the team, then they need to figure it out, because when you pay a quarterback $50 million, you are paying him to audible out of calls if you see something at the line. You're paying him to make the plays off schedule and all the stuff. So if
That's fair.
you're Jalen Hurts and the offensive coordinator is like, hey, you should really be looking for AJ Brown on this deep route, and you're using your eyes, you're going through your reads, and you see that there's a check down there for a free 20 yards. I don't like. It doesn't matter what your coach told you to look at pre-snap. Like, you go through your progressions, you make the read, and you move on. If you make the right play, it's not like Sirianni or Brian Johnson's going to be like, Jalen, I told you should be looking downfield. Like, you have to make those reads. Andy Reid doesn't go off. And Patrick Mahomes doesn't come off the field and Andy Reid go, Pat, I'm mad that you didn't throw the ball to the guy I thought. Like, you pay your quarterback to make that type of money. They should be like coaches on the field. And some people have said Jalen Hurts, he only played for that half of the year, and then he played for the full year last year, and then this year it's only his third year. But I throw it out the window. You got the money. Like, they're not paying you to be great in 5 years, 6 years. They're paying you to be great right now. You make one of the most expensive contracts in the league, and I don't know where I would rank him in terms of quarterbacks, but I don't think he's been having a top 10 QB season, and I don't feel like that's a hot take. He leads the league in turnovers. He's tied with Sam Howell, Josh Dobbs, and then Josh Allen is the outlier. But Josh Allen's a way better quarterback than him, and has been a way better established quarterback.
Josh Allen is a true like gunslinger, where it's like he's going to lead the league in touchdowns, but he is also going to have a decent amount of interceptions. Not as many as like a Jameis Winston, like a 30 for 30, but still a decent amount.
Yeah, that's Josh Allen's MO, and I hold space for Josh Allen to have a lot of turnovers. And Jalen Hurts' touchdowns and his ability there has been by his legs, and I give him credit for going in for tush pushes, but I would probably estimate about half his tush pushes could be done by running back. Either a running back could take the direct snap, or they could just do a regular running play and get those in.
Because you can teach somebody pretty, like, I'm not saying it's easy, but like you can kind of teach somebody, like, if you needed to like pull your quarterback and just do a direct snap with the same thing. Like, you could put a running back in during those plays. Like,
and that's not to devalue Hurts taking those tush pushes, but it's when you see the numbers of 24 total touchdowns or whatever he's at for the year.
But that's like how many of those were pushed.
Yeah, those aren't Patrick Mahomes total touchdowns or what's another guy, like even Josh Allen doesn't feel like he runs in for a lot of touchdowns. Like, he's really throwing the ball. But he runs
those in. He's not like pushed. Like, those are like using his legs and scrambling to get in. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, and whatnot. So my take on the Eagles is, if you ask me if they're fraudulent, it's in a couple like levels. Are they frauds in terms of making the playoffs? No, they're going to make the playoffs. They're a good football team. They
thank God. I was worried there for a second.
They're 10-4. They're gonna probably win a first round playoff game, we hope. And it's not like the season's over.
You guys can beat, like, I'm trying to think about what team might sneak into that last spot. Like, you'll beat like the Rams or something like that like sneaks in.
I mean, I think a Rams could be a tough spot.
Oh my God, you'll be fine. Calm down.
No, I would put money on us to win the game. I think we'd ultimately win, but I think it could be a tough spot. But if we play anybody from the NFC South, like, we'll be favorites, and I would expect us to win. That being said, it would be tough.
Yeah,
tougher now. Are they frauds in terms of Super Bowl expectations? Absolutely.
Yeah,
they were second in odds to go back to the Super Bowl this year. It felt like a Chiefs-Eagles rematch was on the rise. They're 10-1 to start the year. Now they're Super Bowl favorites, and they lose 3 straight games in bad fashion. And it's the constant, for me, it's the constant post-game. We need to make changes. Do we need to change the play calling? We're changing the defensive coordinator. Why isn't Jalen Hurts playing well? the scheme is bad, and that's if we're talking about are they frauds for the Super Bowl, 100%. They're not going to make the Super Bowl. They're not going to make the NFC Championship game at this rate unless things change.
Yeah.
They're easily the fourth best team in the NFC right now in my eyes. I don't think there's an argument for. I think Detroit has to be considered better than the Eagles at this point, because I view the Broncos and the Seahawks on kind of similar footing. I would say the Seahawks are maybe a little bit better, but I would say they're comparable teams right around that like 12 to 15 and teams in the league, and the Lions just annihilated the Broncos and whatnot. Also, the Lions would carve up the Eagles secondary right in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I mean, that offense would do, like, what would you have, like, Amon-Ra St. Brown just running all over the place? Like, Laporta he would have, like, a Hall of Fame game. Like, no one is covering him.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Eagles are frauds in terms of Super Bowl. Unless things change, they're not going to make the Super Bowl. And that's what I've come to, like, my expectations have moved to. Of course, still looking tight. I think people are giving the Eagles a little bit too much credit in terms of these last 3 games as if they are just given games. They're 2 division games, and they're a game against your head coach that left, like, your old defensive coordinator who now is the head coach of the Cardinals. So I think the Eagles will win all games, but this idea that, like, the Eagles will win out, they'll be the 2nd seed, they'll be fine, is like, I would have everyone slow their roll a little bit on that. The Eagles have just lost 3 straight games, and they haven't been good looks. The game against the Cowboys and 49ers, they were utterly destroyed. The game against the Seahawks, they mustered 7 second half points against the defense that Seahawks defense is cool. They're not elite. They're not world beaters.
Okay, first of all, Julian Love is bad in coverage, period. He's not good in coverage. I don't know how he had 2 picks that game. He's actively bad. Because
Jalen Hurts is like, I think he's targeting the guy Julian Love is covering because he's like, this guy isn't good, but you can't throw the ball because the guy is bad and then hope your receiver makes a play. You can only do that if you're throwing to Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, those type of guys.
Yeah, well, and also the ball was just underthrown. Like,
twice.
Because like if you just overthrew it, if anything, it would have just been incomplete, or given him a shot like Drew Lock did at the end there.
Yep,
where he threw Jackson Smith and Jigba, he threw him deep and far, and it was like he got like a fingertip catch, and it was amazing. But he gave him a shot. Like there's no defender that could have covered him, and very happy for Drew Lock, by the way. That dude's a stud. I love him.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking at the end of the post game, I texted our group chat. I was like, Drew Lock is like actually kind of likable. Like hearing him on the press conference,
like, tear up like at the end of that, where he's like, like everybody had faith in me. Like Gino was hyping him up. Like everybody was like so happy for him because like he hasn't really gotten like a real fair shot in the NFL, and like he's like
he started with the Broncos, right?
Yeah, he was like with the Broncos, who were god awful, and then it was like he never got a fair shot. And then they just sent him off to Seattle in the Russell Wilson trade. But they like everybody. He seems like a great locker room guy that you would just like love to just like hang out with, because like you see him doing like his old like college celebration of like putting the suit on. Like that was like so good. Like he just seems like, and he was shouting out like he was like he was he even said he was like, we were really leaning on Kenneth Gainwell, or no, not Kenneth Gainwell,
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker, like the entire time he was like, I mean, he did the heavy lifting for us. Like, I loved it.
Yeah, I think that's what you want to see in a backup quarterback, right? Like a guy who comes in, brings swagger into the locker room, brings swagger into the game, and does some exciting. I think that's what's fun about Gardner Minshew. Like we have the Minshew magic every once or twice every year, and he's a great locker room guy.
Oh yeah.
Raj, any final thoughts on the Eagles and kind of where they stand going into these final 3 games?
It's not worth spending my time worrying about this team. I'm just gonna wait and see what they do. Maybe they'll give me some Christmas Day miracles.
Hang on. Miracle? You're playing the Giants. Let's calm down with that one. Okay. Time out. If I were to hand you a piece of paper at the beginning of the year and said you will sign this, and the Eagles will be 13-4 going into the playoffs, would you sign that?
I would first ask, what teams did we lose to?
No, nothing. Just 13-4. If I told you lost to the Cowboys and the 49ers, would you be mad?
Oh no, I would be fine with that. But if I heard Jets and Seahawks, that's another story.
Well, if you heard Jets at the beginning of the year, you would have thought Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, the Jets would have been a whole
You're
different
right.
story.
You're right. You're right.
It would have just been that would have only been one bad loss.
I mean, and that's just Peter. What you're saying is exactly where like
I'm
I think some people
delusional,
got
okay?
overboard. Like Eagles, in terms of a good team, still a viable playoff team.
Absolutely,
They're fine. They're fine.
But there's just a different
in
tier
terms
of
of
team for playoffs. Yeah,
yeah, they've moved themselves out of, in my opinion, Super Bowl contender tier. They are on the
Yep.
outside looking in on what teams I think right now can win a Super Bowl. And granted, that bubble is really small, but I don't see a path for them getting out of the NFC at the current moment, just based on the fact that I think they probably lose any second round matchup they're in. And
because it'll be Cowboys or 49ers. Like,
Cowboys, 49ers, or Lions, and
yeah,
I'm not sure they can beat any of those teams.
mm-hmm.
So
Just a winning
Well,
game now. We'll wait and
You'll
see
win
what
the
Moving
last
on.
3 games, so you're good.
moving on to the next game, this was the game that gave me a lot of hope for the Eagles because the Cowboys got annihilated by the Bills, who were playing at
Yes.
home. And what was
But guys, there was the flu going around in the Cowboys locker room. It was their flu game.
I
they're
don't care.
sick.
Like,
They're
James
You
sick.
don't put up
100
10
yards on
points
them.
like that. They looked like garbage the entire game.
Yeah. Bills obviously, like, Cowboys came into their house, wrecked them. The Bills were favorites going into the game, which is controversial in its own right because people were like the Cowboys being underdogs to a 7-6 Bills team, but they're underdogs for a reason. The Bills got the job done despite Josh Allen throwing for a mere 95 yards and only having one touchdown. James Cook cooked. I mean, 179, one touchdown. This felt like a game where the Bills just sit. 2 touchdowns.
He had a receiving and a rushing.
Oh, okay.
Probably looked like Barry Sanders. Good lord.
I know.
I mean, this just felt like a game where the Bills coaching staff and Ken Dorsey.
No, Ken Dorsey's
no.
gone.
No,
Ken Dorsey's gone. It's Joe Brady, I think.
Joe Brady. Yeah, Joe Brady. It just felt like a game that they said, we know we're better at this one aspect. Like, we have this one big advantage. Our running game is just better than the Cowboys' defense, and they hammered it. The Cowboys couldn't do anything.
No.
They didn't. It started off where the Cowboys looked kind of like, oh wow, they're really going to attack our rushing defense. They tried to put extra guys in the box. They tried to do it didn't matter. They just got destroyed, and that's what a good running attack can do to your team. Just took all the life out of the Cowboys.
Something a really good take that I heard. It was AJ Hawk said this, and it was that coming into that game, the Bills, like, obviously everybody was like, oh, like, it's so confusing why the Cowboys are the underdogs, like all this. But the second that game started and the run game started going, you could tell the Bills were like the alphas in the room, where like they were pushing the guys off, like giving them that extra little shove. They were like pushing them off of them, like getting in their face, kind of like after plays and stuff like that. Like, they were out the Cowboys like the entire time.
Yes.
Like they established, like, no, we're gonna run right through you, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And the Cowboys just took it. Like, they just straight up they sat there and they let the run game just hit them in the mouth, and there was nothing they could do. Because when you get like, oh well, the Cowboys have a great pass rush, all right, we're not gonna pass the ball that much. We're just gonna run right at you.
They're like tough. We're gonna
run. Like,
sucks. And I think when you look at a team like the Bills, it's easy to say, and I've been a very big Bills hater going into the year. I wasn't believing in them, but if you look at what has happened this year, they lost the first, they're 8-6 now.
Mm-hmm.
They lost the first game of the year against the Jets by 6 points.
Horrible loss.
It's a horrible loss, but it's in overtime. It's the first game of the season. They lost on a punt return.
Mm-hmm.
And whatnot. So it's a tight loss in a weird situation in week 1.
Yep.
They destroy the Raiders. They destroy the Commanders. They destroy the Dolphins. They lose by 5 to the Jaguars.
Yep.
They beat the Giants. They lose to the Patriots, another bad loss. They beat the Bills. They lose to the Bengals. They lose to the Broncos. In a game where they had 12 men on the field, which if they didn't have those 12 guys in the field, they just straight up win the game.
Yeah.
So that's like the first loss. That they have a loss in overtime to the Jets to start the year. A 12 men on the field against the Broncos. They destroy the Jets. They lose to the Eagles in overtime after the Eagles kicked a 61-yard field goal
in the rain.
In the rain to go send that game to overtime. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Cowboys. There's 3 losses on that schedule where very easily could have been wins. I mean, the one is 12 men on the field. So you're
Yeah.
really looking at a very easily capable team that should be that would be not they're 8-6, so 11-3.
Yeah,
And that
like
it's not
even during the Eagles loss, it's like if Gabe Davis turns the other way, that's a
Yep.
touchdown. They win the game right there.
Yes. So like this Bills team is very like they're in the range of 11-3, 8-6. I feel like 8-6 is kind of their floor.
Yeah,
And if you
that's
want
where they're at.
if you want to argue the Chiefs game could have gone the Chiefs way, go ahead, be my guest. Then you can say they should be 10-4, but that puts you in a whole different class. So the Bills
Then
are
you're
simply
in the Eagles category right there
Yes.
of like one of the better playoff teams, and like they would fully have solidified themselves as a playoff team, not like on the fringe, kind of like trying to knock it like that last spot.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it a little bit last episode. At this point, would you be shocked if the Bills were in the AFC Championship game?
No, not at all. Not after this game.
No, because they've been a good football team all year. They're in a crowded AFC right now. They lost some games they shouldn't have lost. They've had some weird performances, but I give Sean McDermott and Joe Brady and that whole entire team a ton of credit for sticking together. They had all this drama. Sean McDermott is making 9/11 references in his pregame speeches. It gets out. It's where he's apologizing. They fire their offensive coordinator in the middle of the year, and all this stuff. Stephon Diggs is disgruntled throughout the year. All this kind of stuff. And you hang in there, you take all the blows, and now suddenly you just had a big game against the Cowboys. You have a schedule that you can very easily just straight up win the division and host a home playoff game if you beat if the Dolphins lose this week to the Cowboys, which is very possible, and if the Bills beat the Dolphins, which I just straight up think the Bills will beat the Dolphins in week 7.
Right now,
week 17.
I think they easily can. Yeah.
Yeah. Then straight up, the Bills just win the division, and there might be the 2 seed, potentially the 3 seed, but I give a lot of credit to the Bills staff. I'm impressed, and this is from someone who has not been impressed with the Bills the last couple of years.
Exactly, because I think wasn't it at the beginning of the year that we were saying that the Bills Super Bowl window is like slammed shut, like it's over, like they need to blow the team up, and then they just like didn't stop winning. And it's like, oh, I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think we had said earlier in the year that this team felt like a team that was kind of holding on too much, and they probably should hit a mini reset button because they had missed that window. Like guys were starting to leave. Of course, they have like Stephon Diggs, who's great, but then kind of Gabe Davis and kind of hanging out on the outside, and Von Miller and all these kind of players are on their way out a little bit. So, what does this mean for the Cowboys?
They're fine.
I think this kind of showed that they still aren't untouchable. Right now, where they are, they might have been coming off of the high of that Eagles win, but I think that the issue is that the 49ers have a great run game, and like how Nick Bosa said that they put out the blueprint on how to beat Jalen Hurts and the Cowboys followed, I think that the Bills just put out the blueprint of how to beat the Cowboys. And if there's any team that has a great run game that can punch you in the mouth and get after it, it's the 49ers.
Or Miami, who they have to play this week.
Yeah, like the Miami could be looking at the film and going like, hey guys, we got a solid run game. Like we can get this going. We can beat this team. So I think that might come to bite the Cowboys in the ass. Of course, they also can make adjustments. They can also bring in some like bigger packages to try to prevent the run game and everything. But I think this might be the downfall of the Cowboys, and I'm praying that it is.
I mean, yeah.
Go ahead, Rush.
The Cowboys' downfall, but I mean, I just don't know what to think of any of these playoff teams because we've seen all of them at their highs and we see them all of them at their lows. And at this point, I just gotta wait for whatever second week of January, something like that, to see what happens. Like I just don't understand what this season has been anymore.
I think when I look at a team like the Cowboys, I say they need to win the division. Going on the road, like they're 3-4 on the road this season. They've lost all of their games on the road. And they're going to likely, unless the Eagles lose twice against the Giants or once against the Cardinals, they're going to have a road playoff game. They're going to have to, it's going to be an NFC South opponent, but they're going to have to go into the Superdome, which is not an easy spot to play, or they're going to have to go into the Buccaneers. and they're going to have to play that game, and then they're going to have to go on the road probably to the Lions. And I think that's going to be, or not Lions, they're going to have to go into the 49ers. They're like being the 5th seed for them is like a worst case scenario because they have not shown an ability to win on the road.
Yeah, it's just
because they've lost. Because even them losing to the Eagles on the road doesn't seem like a bad loss before you saw what they did to them at home. So they could destroy the Eagles on the road. I mean, at home, but lost them on the road. Like it's very concerning the different level of play between those two spaces. So I'll be very curious to see what they do to a team like Miami, who we all think are frauds.
It's the fraud bowl. It's which one's the fraud.
Well, so I think the thing is, Miami has Raheem Mostert and Devon.
A-Chain, yeah.
A-Chain, I don't know how to say his first name. A-Chain, yeah. They have 2 pretty good running backs, and I think the Bills have found the formula on how to break the Cowboys' defense. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Is Tyreek going to be back during that game?
Who?
Tyreek. Yes, he should be.
Yeah,
he should be back. Oh, God.
Because that's the thing, though. With that team, I mean, once the run game gets established and the Cowboys are just like getting tired of the run, you're going to catch one of their corners lacking, and Tyreek's
because then if you need to bring that front 7 in closer, then you're going to have just one slant route, and Tyreek Hill is going to be running a track race into the end zone.
Deron Bland is going to be put in a blender by Tyreek Hill. If DK did that stuff to
they're
him,
putting him in the slot.
Tyreek is going to kill him.
Oh no!
And probably Waddle too.
Oh no!
It'll be interesting because I just think it's an interesting spot. You got Dallas on the road, which they haven't been good all year. Miami playing a team over 500, and we just saw the Cowboys get exposed. I think the Cowboys are the better football team, but I'm not sure they're in the best spot for this game. So that'll be extremely interesting there. But the next big game that we wanted to talk about off rip was the Ravens beating the Jaguars 23-7. It was a spot the Jags really needed to have because that division has gotten real tight right now, and that game really comes down to the Ravens, despite having all these running back injuries, just 251 rushing yards compared to the Jaguars 75. You control the ground game, and it just makes it so difficult for the Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, and the Jags had some really stupid coaching decisions where they threw the pass like at the end of the half or something like that. They could have easily just like spiked it and gotten like 2 passes off or something like that. Like they lost that game, I feel like, more than the Ravens won it, because like there was so many times that the Jags just completely choked like right in the red zone, and it was just like ridiculous. And also, like, love Lamar to death. He looked amazing during that game, but there was that one pass on like 3rd down, I think it was like 3rd and 15, and he like runs around, chucks it up to a dude in double coverage who comes down with it. Like, that could have ended horribly. It
so bad.
Didn't, and it was sick, but oh my god, that could have ended horribly.
Yeah, the Jaguars have 2 fumbles lost. Like, it's a spot where the Jaguars, I felt they could have won the game, and they didn't. And now the Jaguars are in a dogfight in that division, and the Ravens have clinched a playoff spot, and no one's going to touch them for that 1 seed in all likelihood.
No,
so
I think
actually we can't say that because they play the Ravens. I mean, 49ers upcoming, and then the Dolphins win against the Cowboys, and then suddenly we're looking at the fraudulent Dolphins leading
at the 1 seed.
Gosh,
and then, I mean, the Chiefs are probably going to win out the rest of the year too. So it's like, oh god,
but they have 5 losses, so it'd be tough.
Yeah, so it'll be tough for them to get in. But
yeah, I just think the Ravens have continued to show like they're a good, solid football team.
They just don't lose that much. Like,
they don't.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if they have enough talent, top end talent, to do it.
Because they just keep losing running backs. Oh my god.
Yeah, because Keaton Mitchell goes down in this game.
Horrific injury.
They have like Gus Edwards and co.
Yeah, they have like Gus Edwards and then Lamar running at like 80% because he just doesn't want to either fumble or tear something, which is totally valid. And he's still outrunning people at 80%. It's insane.
Yeah, the Ravens team just always feels injured. Like they just are fighting everything
injured
every year.
Yeah, Mark
and
Andrews
they need a new
also
athletic
gone.
trainer.
Yeah, Mark Andrews. Well, he could come back, which is
that's true.
That's the first round bye for them is actually huge because of the potential Mark Andrews coming back. I mean, I think fortunately not having him is Zay Flowers has gotten so much run, and they've had Zay Flowers and OBJ and some other guys really getting some good run at receiver. So I think
Rashad
their
Bateman.
passing, I think their passing game is actually, Nelson Aguilar has been playing good. So
Never thought I'd say that, but
he actually is playing pretty well, which is shocking.
yeah, so I mean, I think their passing game has been good. Get Mark Andrews back in there, but they gotta find. They just keep finding a way to run the ball well because they just obliterated the Jags on the ground this game.
Yeah.
Now going on to games, those were the three big games I felt like happened the week. But all the games are important at this point of the year. But we'll fly through some faster than others. Starting with the Raiders beating the Chargers 63-21.
That was
And
disgusting.
God,
the Chargers.
he's
The
got-
Chargers have had a lot of tough looks in their franchise history. If we're being honest, this might have been the toughest look I've ever seen.
No, the toughest look is having the number one offense, number one defense, and missing the playoffs. That's
okay, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
gonna be it. But this is a close second.
This was not their biggest margin of loss in their franchise. This was the third largest.
Well, because oh my god, that's insane. The fact that it was like, wasn't it 42-0 going into half?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, how does that even happen? Like, how do you you're a professional football team,
And this game is, first of all, Staley and GM get fired after this game. Like, it needed to happen. Great. Justin Herbert isn't playing, but
I didn't know about the GM. I don't know why the GM got fired necessarily.
I think the Chargers are trying to clean house. I think
if they're just doing that, it's fair. But like, I felt like the GM, like, he brought in a lot of talent. Like they weren't struggling with cap, but then
I guess the $40 million over next year's cap and being like in this year is just like, we can't keep you on because this is too egregious.
Yeah,
like we're a 5-win football team and we're $40 million over the cap for next year.
Yeah,
but it's just not good. I know they're playing Easton Stick. This again is a situation where backup quarterback needs to become a more important priority for football teams. You're rolling guys out there who can't play the position. Easton Stick had he picked 6 on one play, fumbles, turning the ball over. It's not the reason the Chargers lost by as much as they did, but certainly didn't help.
You want to hear something scary?
Yeah.
Keenan Allen only has one more year in his deal.
Uh-oh.
You want to know who needs the receiver?
Chiefs.
You want to know who doesn't want to be on a tanking NFL team?
Probably Keenan Allen. Yeah. We talked about it a little bit last week, but I think the Chargers are a team who really need to take a step back for a year or two. This is with the added context of the Raiders scoring 0 points
the game
against
before,
against the Vikings.
3-0. Yeah,
the Vikings, not an elite 49ers defense, not an elite Cowboys defense. The Vikings, they scored 0 points against them and hung 63 on that Chargers defense. It's God.
I think the players
game.
Just gave up. They were just like, we don't want Staley here. We're done. And they just stopped playing. Like, it's just like, you know what? Whatever.
But my message to anybody who thinks it's just Brandon Staley, maybe you should look at the players and wonder if they're not playing and as good as they can be, because I can promise you a coach does not lead to a 5-win football team.
Well, Bill Belichick will get them whipped into shape, so they'll be fine.
Oh God, when they do, they're gonna get Belichick. He's going to go there.
I don't think he's going there.
I don't think he's we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
A big game. This is a huge game for standing wise.
Yes.
It's the Bengals and the Vikings. And the Bengals go to OT and win that game off a huge catch from T. Higgins.
Yeah, that was an amazing catch reach over the side by T. Higgins just to put him in the lead. I mean, that was, or I think it was to tie the game up, and then they ended up kicking the field goal to win it. Yeah, but that was amazing. I mean, Bengals are they on their backup quarterback right now?
Yeah, Jake Browning.
Yeah, Jake Browning. Yeah, I mean, he's been playing very, very well.
And they're completely in the hunt for the playoffs.
Yeah. So I mean, they could make some noise in the playoffs. I could see that. I don't think they'll make it to an AFC Championship game, but I could see them upsetting somebody in the first round.
Yeah, I mean they could. Yeah,
It's
the
just
kid Braddock is pretty good. I mean, Jamar got hurt, but we'll see how the
Yeah.
season finishes out.
I think he should be okay. It looks like he more got like banged up and just like kind of like sat the rest of the game sort of thing, as opposed to like getting super hurt. But we'll see how it goes, I guess. Yeah.
yeah. The tough reality for these teams though is there's 2 teams out of the playoffs right now who are 8-6, which is the same record as a lot of other teams in. So for a team like the Bengals, you can't like having Jamar Chase out. It's like Jamar, we need you to play, man. Like
dude, we need you now.
there's no room. And for a Bengals team who's win now, even if
Yeah.
you don't have Burrow for the entire year, it's like you've got the pieces. You're probably losing T. Higgins after this year. You at least need to hope you can go on some miraculous like Nick Foles type run. And AFC that hasn't really had any standouts to me all year.
Yep. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
And
interesting.
then another AFC game with massive ramifications is the Colts and the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers, they have no
Irrelevant.
offense.
Who cares?
They losing Kenny Pickett, who I don't even think has been good,
Was tragedy.
is tragedy because they have nobody else on their team who can play the quarterback position. They're moving off from Trubisky. They're playing Rudolph now.
Yeah, it was just disgusting because they were winning in the first quarter and then they just
They were up like 14-0 or something, and then
then they just fell off a cliff, and then it's like, oh, game's over.
Yep. I was a Steeler. If I was the Steelers, I would just try to lose the rest of your games.
They lost as soon as that Michael Pittman hit.
Yeah, literally.
That's when
they
it
lost
started
right
going
at the
downhill for
moment.
them.
That was yep. I mean, well, Justin, I don't think they're gonna have to tank. I think they're just genuinely.
They're just gonna lose. Yeah,
like,
and that's fair. They very likely will, but I think it's in their best interest at this point. I know I've been on the just lose, get a better draft pick, but
I think they're gonna try and still lose.
They're gonna try really hard. They're still gonna lose them all. The question is, does Tomlin get to his 9-8?
I don't think he does.
Yeah, he's gonna get it. He sold his soul to something.
I think this is gonna because this is gonna be the year that every Steelers fan is gonna call for Tomlin's head, and then they're gonna realize, oh wait, we shouldn't have fired Tomlin because they're gonna get some awful head coach, and the Steelers are gonna be garbage.
That kid.
Oh, so you're anti-fire. You're anti,
bro.
Mike Tomlin.
Do you know how many teams would kill to have a coach like Mike Tomlin?
If I was the Steelers, I would trade Mike Tomlin. I would say, buddy, you've been great. We probably need an offensive coach in this building. The team has changed a lot in the years, and I would say, I think a team like the Chargers could give us a second round pick or something that we could really use to benefit our team.
But
and I'd say,
who are you bringing in? Like, who's going to be better?
I'm not saying there's going to be a better coach. I think someone who could maybe fit the team a little bit more. This Steelers team is not in win now mode. I think Tomlin is, and I think it would just be better for the whole entire team. I think this whole Tomlin or this I've never had a losing season. I think we've moved past it a little bit. And I think it might be time to get somebody in there who can try to develop this offense, which has been horrible ever since Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown really left. They just have not been a competent offense.
Yeah, which, I mean, part of that is Big Ben's fault, and then he's like complaining that the Steelers don't have a culture anymore. It's like, bro, you were part of the reason for their downfall. Don't be acting like this wasn't on you too.
Yeah. I don't think it's like Tomlin's fault they're bad. I would not fire if you're like debating between firing the guy or keeping him on. You definitely don't fire him. I would only move on from him if you can get value from him, because I think the long-term benefit could be there.
Got it. Okay, I see what you're saying now. So it's less of like you don't just outright fire him, because you know he's a good coach. You just try to gain as much like as you can and just accept that you're in a full-on rebuild at this point.
Yeah, like I think teams like I don't want to roll through every single team, but I think teams like Atlanta, teams like the Panthers could benefit from a guy and
like
could
Mike
use a high
Tomlin,
pick on like a culture setter, like a high standards, and really raise their level. So
yeah,
I would try to move off of him if I'm the Steelers.
Fair, but good for the Colts though.
Great for the Colts.
Yeah,
huge to Shane Steichen. Again, I don't think people thought this Colts team minus Anthony Richardson would be 8-6 and fighting for a division win, and it's just
I think
a credit to
him
them.
and Oh, who's the Browns head coach? Is that Stefanski?
Zach Taylor.
No.
Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no,
No,
isn't
Zach
Taylor?
Taylor's
No, oh wait, sorry. You said Browns?
Browns, yeah.
That's
Oh,
Stefanski, right?
Stefanski. Yeah,
Stefanski.
Stefanski.
Those two, I think, should be in the running for coach of the year, definitely, because they've just had like an ungodly amount of injuries to their teams, and they're still like fighting for playoff spots. Like,
I know we forget that the Colts had the whole JT drama to start the year, and they're still there.
Yeah.
So good for them. Lions beat the Broncos 42-17.
Just a bleh, whatever.
Yep.
Like, wow, Lions are good, Broncos are bad.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think Broncos had a really big turnover margin in those games. Like they were plus 15 on turnovers during a big winning streak, and
they just didn't
not
turn the ball
sustainable.
over. Yeah.
I did want to say, I gave Sean Payton a lot of crap in the beginning of the year, and then I gave him
a lot of credit.
I gave him a lot of credit when the winning streak. I'm back off the Sean Payton, like
yeah,
showing up your player like that on the sideline with Wilson with outbursts. It's a horrible. I don't care if he's not your guy you wanted in the room. He's the guy you have, and you know what? He's better and more experienced than a lot of other quarterbacks in the league who are winning. So your job as the coach is to have him ready to play. Like is that like we talk quarterbacks like Browning, quarterbacks like Minshew. Nick Mullins, like these are guys who will even like rookies like Will Levis, like these are guys out there who have gotten wins in the league, and like you can't be showing up Russell Wilson on the side like that. He can still play football. Like your job, you have been brought in to fix the situation because they're not moving on from Wilson. He's got too much money, so you have to deal with him. That's why you took the job.
Yeah, I mean it was it was absolutely ridiculous. Like dude, like obviously Staley should have been sent to the moon, but at least Staley didn't like scream at all of his players when he was down by 42. But of course, he kind of knew that he was out the door. But he
never did. The whole stretch of the year, you see coaches, even coaches like the Eagles coaches, they're never talking bad about their players, even though they're like going through it right now. Like it's you just don't see that out of a mature coach. I don't know if like Sean Payton's lost it a little bit in his time off, or thinks he can get away with more like than he can, but that's just not.
That's not good for the culture. Yeah.
No, it's not at all. And I was a quarterback going into that situation. If I was a Caleb Williams, who maybe a team would come up to draft me like the Broncos, I'd be like, I'm going to go there where their coach is yelling at their like. I'd be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Like, no, I won't.
Yeah, I will not be yelled at for
making a mistake when I'm a human being and trying to carry this god awful franchise.
Indeed. Peter, thoughts on the Giants game?
Well, I knew this was going to happen. I literally called it that they were going to lose to the Saints. They played a good defense, and Tommy DeVito didn't look that great. I mean, kind of just happens. His head got bounced off of the turf by the one guy. Obviously, he was trying to slide. There was no flag on that one. Sick. Thanks, refs. Really appreciate it. You'll throw unnecessary roughness or roughing the passer on a defensive tackle that slaps a quarterback, but then someone's head bounces off the turf head to head. They're like, no big deal. That seems good. He was trying to slide. He slid a little bit late. We don't really care. I mean, like, I wasn't surprised at this game at all. Like, the defense tried to hang in for as long as they could, but I mean, the Saints are just better. Like on both sides of the ball, they just got a better defense and a better offense. Like there was just nothing that they could really do. The kicker got hurt at one point. Like we had our punter kicking, and he's a lefty. It was such a Giants loss. I was like, whatever.
And it was a game the Saints had to have. You know, like they had to have this game. So I give a shout out to Tommy DeVito's agent for getting inducted into the Italian American Hall of Fame.
Yes, he did. He has, as an agent, because I think he has like 19 Super Bowl winning clients or something like that.
Yeah, it's something crazy. Didn't know there was an Italian American Hall of Fame, but there is.
There is, yeah.
So the more you know.
Giants, we're looking for the draft. Whatever. If they end up beating the Eagles once, I cry. I promise you that. I will be laughing I will be laughing so hard, but it's not happening. I know it's not. So it's fine.
And if you had told me when the Ravens, Joe Flacco, and the 49ers and Colin Kaepernick Super Bowl happened, that Joe Flacco in 2023 would be 2-0
with the Browns.
I would have told you were lying. Flacco gets another win against the Bears, and It's just impressive again by that we're talking about Kevin Stefanski just holding their team in there.
Yep.
The Browns are 9-5
Yeah.
Yeah.
this year, and they've
Without
done the
Deshaun
majority of
Watson.
this work. Because I don't think Deshaun Watson's a great quarterback, but I think he's better than Joe Flacco. I think he's better than DTR and these other guys who have been playing. And
Could you imagine how good the Browns would be if they signed other free agents and just had Joe Flacco there instead of paying Deshaun
Yeah.
Watson $300 million?
or if they had Nick Chubb.
If they had
Yeah.
Nick Chubb too, like they would be insane.
It's been very impressive. I just wanted to know here, my opinion on Justin Fields is slowly starting to shift, and I was wondering if anyone else had the idea. I've started to think about the idea of the Bears using both those picks they have and rolling with Fields for some more time. I think he's been playing some really solid football.
They shouldn't
I-
they shouldn't like draft any new QB. Like you sold your soul for Fields. Just work with what you got. You don't need to draft a QB right now.
I think I agree with that because like you can easily change a quarterback by adding crazy weapons to him. Because like if you add a Marvin Harrison Jr. and like I guess whatever left tackle, either Joe Alt or the dude from Penn State, like you give Justin Fields more time to throw the ball. Because the thing is that everyone's like, oh, he's a running back, he's a running back. Like, guys, you have not watched any of either any Bears games, B, his college tape. Is that he still has literally one of the prettiest passes I've ever seen in my life, where it was
He
like
throws
a
it on a rope.
60-yard bomb, like literally just a bomb to a spot right to Chris Olave against Clemson, like in college, and it's like that didn't just go away. Like that's still there. He just hasn't had any. Like who's he throwing? Darnell Mooney. Like you think that's the number one receiver? Like DJ Moore is great. Like he's an awesome receiver.
Well,
Now add Marvin Harrison Jr.
yeah, and DJ Moore's been ever since Fields has gotten healthy after these. He's been a really integral part of their offense. Like they've started to figure it out a little bit. The Browns, I mean, putting up 17 on the Browns is not unimpressive. The Browns have a very good defense,
Very good defense,
and again, the Bears are still struggling. So Peter, that would be exactly my plan. Left tackle, fix up your offensive line in the draft. Marvin Harrison, and just say, Justin Fields, you've got a really good receiving core now. Cole Kmet can play tight end.
Yep.
You've got guys. Go
they
for
could pick
it.
up like a running back in like a later round, beef up their defense a little bit, like maybe fill out like a guard spot or a center. Like they could be good.
Yeah.
They could be good.
Panthers, Falcons, bleh, I don't want to talk about it.
I refuse to talk about that game. It was awful.
Art Smith needs to go.
Art Smith needs to go. Panthers
Roger,
are still ass.
Roger, you're talking about the Falcons for too long. Bucks beat the Packers, who were at home 34-20. It just felt like the Packers were just getting overvalued too high. Like, and I did it myself a little bit.
The next Aaron Rodgers, guys. You don't get it. Their defense is so good, bro. Made Tommy DeVito look like Brett Favre. All right, don't tell me that.
And you know what? The Packers also made Baker Mayfield look like he was prime Aaron Rodgers. Perfect passer rating.
Yeah, in Lambeau too. First
in
opposing
Lambeau.
quarterback to do that. Yeah.
Everybody was on that. I think the betting line was 3.5 for the Packers. Everyone was on the Bucks to cover that, and they deserve to be. And that's a game that the Saints needed to have, the Bucks needed to have, and they both got the wins, and they're going to be duking it out for the NFC game. But now suddenly
Bucks are going to be a frisky one.
And and both of them are viable for the wild card now too, just because the NFC isn't great. So we could get 2 NFC South teams in there, which is kind of a problem, but
that's disgusting.
Yeah, but we'll move on from that. Dolphins beat the Jets 30-0. Bleh. Move on. I don't want to talk about it.
Wilson got concussed. That's the news.
Yep. That's the news for today, folks.
Yeah.
Chiefs beat the Patriots. I also don't really feel like I need to talk about this. Just Kadarius Toney, like,
needs to be sent to Guangdong, China. Like this dude.
If I was the Chiefs, I understand it's not their MO to punish guys or whatever. Like, you guys support them.
Don't care.
At this point, I would just put him on special teams, and
he is actively hurting the team.
Yes, it's just after the drop pass deep in their zone, he can't catch the ball anymore. He's lost confidence. He's got you can't put a player out there to play wide receiver when you can't catch the football, and that's what he can't do. So Put him in for gadget plays on the run if you need to.
He's a good punt
Um,
returner.
Yeah, put him in as a punt returner. Like, do that. You just can't play him at receiver anymore. He's hurting the team. And guys
Yeah.
like Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce can get those targets, and we can move on from Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, I mean, Chiefs going forward, like they just need to get another receiver. Like that's I don't care how they do it. They just need another receiver and to kind of beef up their offensive line a bit, and they'll be totally fine. Like because Isaiah Pacheco's been hurt, so that's kind of been like hurting their
Yeah.
offense a bit. But like they beef up that offensive line, their defense is still really, really good. Obviously letting the Patriots score 17 is a little bit like what are we doing here? But there was like a garbage time touchdown at the end there. And
Yeah.
it was like like the bad pick that was like hit Tony in the hands, bounced off his helmet, and then right to a linebacker.
That's
Like,
what I'm talking about. Where I'm just
Yeah,
like, you
like-
are actively hurting. Like, you'd be better off just to whack. Like, the ball comes to you, and you see one guy close to you. Let me knock it down. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
but
want
it's
to touch
just
the
like,
ball.
yeah, whatever.
It's like
That was just like that was
obviously-
dumb, and I think the Patriots scored on that touchdown drive, so it's or on that drive, so it's just like it really should have been like 27-10. Like you take that out of there, or maybe like even 30-10 or something like that. But like,
Yeah.
just stupid crap like that. Like just get him off the field, draft another receiver, or go trade for one. You'll be fine.
Mm. Another game that a team had to have was the Texans needed to beat
Yep.
the Titans.
Oh
This
my
division's
God.
gotten so close, and I give all the credit in the world to Case Keenum. Of all people, pulls out the game. Fairbairn hits that game winner at the end of the game.
Dude.
This could go down as one of the more important games of the NFL season, which just thinking Case Keenum is doing it is crazy to me.
Oh my God. I didn't even know he was still in the league when they trotted him out there.
I thought
Noah Brown and Robert Woods.
Yeah.
Everyone thought Davis Mills was going to play because he'd been the backup last
Yeah.
year or the starter last year. And so when Case Keenum was playing, I was like, what? I thought it was going to be Davis Mills. And then he goes out and just wins the game.
Yeah. Like it was an awful game, but hey, they won, so who cares?
That's all that matters.
Literally. Oh my God.
49ers beat the Cardinals to no one's shock.
Whatever.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was a little
mean,
shocked the Cardinals put up 29 points, but
Well,
that
was
about it.
like there was it should have been 22, I think. Because it was that last like one touchdown where like everybody just stopped playing and the dude just
Yeah.
wasn't down and he just kept running. But I mean, like that's just like I mean, at no point in the game was I worried that the 49ers were going to lose that game. Like even when the Cardinals
No.
drove down the field, scored a touchdown on their first drive, I was like, the 49ers are still winning this game. It's inevitable. Like
Yep.
death taxes and Christian McCaffrey anytime, like hitting that's
Oh,
hitting like
wow.
crack cocaine. Like that is insane.
And I think this game reached its apex of the Purdy MVP discourse.
He shouldn't be MVP. It should be
I was
Christian McCaffrey from this team.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I don't think he's gonna win the award because I find it hard to believe that at the end of the year we're gonna see Brock Purdy holding that trophy up. I just don't see it.
It should be Christian McCaffrey at MVP, Tyreek Hill as Offensive Player of the Year.
Yes.
Done.
Well, I think if the Bills run the table and they get to and they win the division, I think it should be Josh Allen. But-
MVP.
Yes, if the Bills run the table, because I think mainly because I understand the Christian McCaffrey. They don't give the award to the running backs. So,
But
They can.
It's a
dumb.
well, I agree, but I have like 100 years of evidence.
Yeah, I know. But so somebody prompted this the other day. How would you feel if they had like, you know how in baseball they have like a Cy Young award where it's like
Yeah.
just the best pitcher and then they have MVP is separate? How would you feel if they had like a quarterback Cy Young award and then MVP was a separate award?
That'd be fine.
I just think the NFL's problem is since it's so positional to say who the most valuable player on any given team, I think JJ Watt talked about this before. Of course it's going to be the quarterback on any given team because like Patrick Mahomes then should be the MVP every single year because I promise you the Chiefs wouldn't be in the playoffs this year without Patrick Mahomes. Replace him with like almost any other guy.
But then
And I think
you
the
look
40
at teams but let's look in the past when you have like an Aaron Donald who's putting up 20 and a half sacks as a defensive tackle, or like a JJ Watt who's scoring on offense and defense and like stuff like that. Like that, like those players should be winning MVP.
I guess the question is though, if you're saying like most valuable player, like you're irreplaceable, your football team. So let's say you take an average quarterback, so Baker Mayfield, and put them on the Chiefs, versus you take, I don't know, who's a good average running back in the league? Miles Sanders.
Mm.
Mm,
Put Miles Sanders
He's
on the 40,
he's on the offensive line. No, he's fine.
okay.
put Miles Sanders on the 49ers. Who's worse off, the Chiefs or the 49ers? I would say the Chiefs.
Yeah, I guess.
And that's not because I think MVP should only be won by quarterbacks. That's just because I think it's so hard to, when you have a quarterback has to give the ball to other players, and I think that just naturally makes them the MVP of the league. I don't think it's fair. I think they should probably just do straight across positional awards. Like you are the best lineman in football. You are the best, like you are the best tight end in football. You are the best running back and wide receiver and so forth. Even
That's
if,
actually
that's
a fair take. If they literally just went by position group and just named each of like the best like at like their position respectively that year. Yeah, because you're right. Because it's hard to just like it's hard to quantify like the most valuable player when you could argue somebody like Trent Williams could be the MVP because he's the best left tackle, and like Brock Purdy would damn near be nothing if he was constantly getting hammered.
I mean,
Yeah, and I
in baseball they have the all the Silver Slugger awards, the Cy
Yeah.
Youngs. It's all positional.
And I think they don't need to be like who's the best left tackle, left guard, because you start to get into all pro teams.
Just
but
who's
I think
the best lineman?
yeah, like just trying to divvy up the groups a little bit more so there's more fair. Because again, it's really hard to say that if, and in my world, Bills run the table, they win in the division, then I think it's really hard to say that somebody like Josh Allen, like what other person could you put in Josh Allen's position who would have overcome this? Like maybe Patrick Mahomes, that's about it. And I think you could, but that same thing would feel with the 49ers. The reason I wouldn't give Purdy the MVP is I 100% think that if Baker Mayfield was the quarterback for the 49ers, they would be in the exact same position. I don't think almost anything would have changed. Maybe I'd give them one more loss, so they'd be 10-4.
Mm-hmm.
I think Purdy is a little bit better than Mayfield, but like I think to be a very similar team with a very average quarterback.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's why I just don't think I would see him holding the MVP trophy. But the odds makers sure seem to think it, and Dak Prescott did himself no favors this past week.
I still think it should go to McCaffrey. I want to see a running back win it.
I think if there's a year you say we're breaking the trend, it's this year. Because
like no quarterbacks are really pulling ahead as like, oh, these are like the best players in the league. Because it's like, you know, Dak had like some like bad weeks, whatever. And then it's like, oh, well, maybe he's going to be leading the MVP race. And then he just has a terrible week. And it's like, oh, well, who's been the most consistent throughout the year? It's been McCaffrey.
Well, the option is, I guess, for quarterbacks is Lamar. But has anyone felt like Lamar's been overwhelmingly good this year? And like, no.
Like he's won plenty of games, but it's like his stats are fine. Like they're not great. And like it's more of like he wins with that team. Like he's a great quarterback for that team, but I don't know if he's as outstanding as like his previous MVP where he was like far and away the best player in the league, like hands down. Versus now it's kind of just like, yeah, he's a great quarterback, but he's not like it doesn't feel like he's as spectacular as it used to be, but he's also a lot more consistent and just like reliable, I feel like.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. So I would not like to see Purdy hold the trophy at the end of the year. I just don't. It's no shade to Purdy. I just think when you look at that team, also everyone's like, the Niners have a perfect record when both Trent Williams and Debo play. And I'm like, but an MVP should overcome that. Like, Patrick Mahomes' receivers are actively working against him.
Yeah, literally.
Like, so I think the Purdy thing should just I get it though. I get why the league thinks he'll win
Yeah.
why bet odds makers think he'll win it, because it's what the award has turned into.
And the issue is that there's going to be the narrative of like, oh, well, he was Mr. Irrelevant and now he's MVP. It's like, damn it, that'll be good for the league. They want him to win it.
Yeah,
Brock Purdy is right now the overall favorite at minus 200 odds.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. He's like, it's not. It's yeah, minus 200 is like over.
Seems he's plus 2,000.
Dak is plus 750 to plus 900 across sportsbooks. Josh Allen is now third in MVP. Lamar's two. Hurts dropped all the way to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
Well, yeah, Hurts is actively hurting his team. So,
yeah.
So anyway, and the last game from the previous week was the Rams beating the Commanders.
Whatever.
It's just a good game for both teams. Like, Rams win, they're in the playoff hunt. The Commanders lose. I think they could use the benefit of the draft pick. So,
and I think there was 2 fumbles in that game.
Kyren fumbled twice. That kind of was the reason why it was like 2 fumbles in the red zone area.
Yeah, because they easily could have scored. They could have at least scored 2 field goals on that drive if he doesn't fumble. So it could have been a much bigger margin of victory. But they wanted the
Kyron's
day,
a
so
dog.
who cares? Kyron's a dog.
He's the reason why running backs are not going to get paid that much anymore.
No, because you get some random running back, you put him behind a good offensive line, and he just runs like a dog, and it's like,
played for
and that's why that's why Christian McCaffrey won't win the MVP award.
McCaffrey's better than all of them.
He is.
He's a weapon.
He is.
He's a slot receiver and a running back.
Like, as much as I want to meet ride Kyron Williams, he is CMC from Wish.com.
Okay, that's the last slate of games. Good week of football. It's getting really good right now, especially the AFC. So we're gonna preview some big Week 16 games. You guys can give me your general thoughts. Who you think's gonna win the game? First up, we have the 7-7 Saints versus the 7-7 Rams. So this could be a potential spot for the wild card. This also could be for a division lead if you're the Saints. So
I both think the Rams will win and want the Rams to win because I think they're a more fun team.
Kyron's going to be a 100-yard rusher. Puka's going to score.
You're meat riding Kyron again.
Dude,
you just said you wouldn't do this.
Stop it.
He's good.
you just said I don't want to meat ride Kyron, but
I don't care. No, I don't care. Dude, he's too good. I'm gonna keep meat riding.
I mean, how
pause?
Because I mean, what? So Cooper Kupp's gonna go against Marshawn Lattimore, and then who's going up against Puka?
Yeah.
Yeah, Puka's going for 800 yards this next game.
Yep, I think it's the Rams winning this game, but big spot for the Saints.
Yes, they do. They need to win that game. Yeah.
Yeah. I put the Bengals and Steelers here. I think we all think the Bengals are going to win that game.
Okay.
But
it's more of a divisional game.
Mason Rudolph, I'm telling you.
I put it here because the Steelers do win. Both teams are 8-7 and tied in that division again. So it is a big spot. But
yeah, I mean, it's like it's a divisional game. Isn't it the second time they're playing each other?
Yeah.
So it's like it's hard to beat a team twice. You never know. And also, it's the AFC North. They could just knock each other out.
Yep. Another game that again might not turn out great, but the Lions are playing the Vikings. That is just crucial for Vikings 7-7. That's everything. The Lions pretty much have that division wrapped up,
but they need to win this game in order to wrap it up.
Yeah, and the Vikings need to win this game to stay alive because they are 7-7, tied with some other teams. Like the NFC picture looks like currently, the 6th seed is held by the Vikings at 7-7. The 7th seed is held by the Rams at 7-7. The 8 is the Seahawks who are 7-7, and the 9 are the Saints who are 7-7. So for the Vikings, they need to win this game because if they don't, they could very well find themselves in 8th, 9th place. And it seems like the Vikings, they have no reason but to win. Like they don't need a worse pick. They're ready to contend,
right in the middle, and they're ready to go. So it's like they need to prove they can win in the playoffs because I mean last year they got knocked out by the Giants after Daniel Jones masterclass, which I never thought I'd be saying. But
those two don't go together.
Those two don't make sense. But they just need to prove for their culture and for their team, they need to go out and show hey, we're contenders for the playoffs at this point. But they just need to slowly step their way up. It's like, okay, we made it to the playoffs, we lost last year. We got better. We had a lot of adversity this year, but if we go make it to the playoffs and win a game, it's like, look, we're getting better, we're trending up, like we're gonna be able to do this.
Yep. Browns at Texans, that's a huge
big
game. I think
yeah.
I think it'll be a really fun game as well.
That game.
I think the Browns should win it. I think their defense is good enough to stop Case
Without
Keenum.
without Tank Dell and Nico Collins, the offense for the Texans are so slowed.
Yeah, the Texans has taken a lot of injuries. I'm gonna actually take the Texans in this game though, because I think we could see a little bit of regression from Joe Flacco on the road.
Is Stroud back next week?
He should play.
Okay. Because I know the Texans this last game, they had a laundry list of injuries. And I think a lot of those were just players that like were banged up and they just needed a little bit of rest. Because I know they didn't have Will Anderson Jr. on defense and stuff like that. And he's been very solid as like a game wrecker. So like I think they'll get a lot of guys back for this game. So I think it'll be closer, but I still think the Browns might get the win just because the Browns defense has been healthy all year and has been playing lights out all year. So it's just like it's going to be hard to like it's going to be really hard. I know CJ Stroud's awesome, but minus Tank Dell and then like with all the other injuries to his like skill position players, like it's just going to be hard.
Yeah, it's a fair take. I'll take the Texans. Jaguars, Bucks. They're all big games for a reason here.
The
Bucks
Jags
are playing for
should
division.
Win this.
The Jags absolutely should win this game, but the Jags have not been impressive.
And also Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I think the Bucks have this game.
Oh, you're gonna
upset. Okay, I like it.
Can you check the live line, Raj? See what Vegas is saying.
Bucks versus Jaguars betting lines.
While Raj looks at that, Cowboys, Dolphins.
Fraud watch.
Yeah, this game is massive for the Dolphins in so many different ways. It's actually pretty irrelevant for the Cowboys because if the Eagles run the table, the Cowboys are locked into the 5 seed no matter what.
Yeah.
So it could really matter little for them, but again,
I think
if they win,
they need to just win for themselves. Like they just need to prove
100%.
that. Like they need to like build up that momentum going into the playoffs and like prove to themselves again. It's like, hey, we can still do this. Like
especially on a big game on the road like this, and you say we're past the road. You can put that out of your head.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Raj.
Hold on. The money lines are even. Both of them are both minus 108.
Okay, what's the spread?
The spread is 1.5.
And that's just because
the
Bucks
are favored. Dang. Yeah, they are.
Well, that's probably why they're favored. Is just because they're at home.
I would probably. I don't know. I'm not confident in the Jaguars though. Like,
I don't know.
This is a terrible game to bet on.
Awful.
It's well, I like the Jags haven't been that impressive. Trevor's still a little hampered, and the Bucks are playing good football, and they're at home.
I over for this game at 43.5.
Oh, I don't know if I would.
I think each team will score 21 plus. I think the game will end 21-24.
Oh, but I'm not betting the game though. If you're talking about like a couple points on that, like I would have to be confident. I also bet the over in the Ravens Jags game, and I got crushed. Oh, we can talk about it here. I bet for that game. I was driving back from Pittsburgh with my dad, and I was like, oh, the over 44 I think it was over 44 for the Ravens Jags, and the Jags +4. I was like, this is a free parlay. Lost both of them. Both legs didn't hit.
Giants
just absolutely got destroyed.
That's a great value.
Yeah, plus 190 is really good.
490.
Oh, 490. Oh my god. Okay, yeah.
We're not talking about the Giants. But yeah, Cowboys, Dolphins. I think that's
I think
a big. I go Dolphins on that one.
I mean, I'm rooting for the Dolphins because I hate the Cowboys, but
I'm of course rooting for the Dolphins. There's no other option but to root for the Dolphins.
I also think the Bills kind of cracked the code on how to break Dallas.
I think so.
Run the ball down their throat.
The Dolphins are so fraudulent against teams with winning records that it's like statistically the Cowboys are above 500, and the Dolphins are really bad against teams that are 500. So I think I'd bet the Cowboys. I don't know what the line is, but
the line is 1.5 is the spread. Dolphins favored minus 122. Cowboys +4 at 104.
I think I would just take the Cowboys just on. I just don't think the Cowboys are. I mean, the Dolphins can beat good teams, but we'll see. I could see that game going either way. And then you would think the Ravens at 11-3 and the 49ers at 11-3 would be a good football game, but the 49ers are just so much better than everybody else.
So you don't think game of the year? You just think blowout?
I mean, Vegas is telling you it's going to be a blowout. They've got the 49ers favored by 5.5.
Yeah.
Oh, but
Dude,
that could
that's
be
kinda
big.
crazy.
Oh.
I think I would fade Vegas here and take the Ravens.
No, I would just
cover.
I 100% think the 49ers are going to cover. I think they're just they're just better. Like the 49ers, it's their Super Bowl to lose. They're by
and Nick
far the best
Bosa
team.
has the racism buff. Oh,
Oh
no.
no! And the Niners are at home.
Oh God.
Oh no!
So you're coming over to my side of the camp now.
Oh.
Damn it.
I don't know. Just to make things interesting, I think the Ravens are going to cover, but I don't think they're going to win. It's going to be a closer game than we think.
I think it's going to be a closer game than Vegas thinks, but +5. Oh God, that defense
It
is
could also
so
just
good.
be a blowout. Like
I
you
could,
never
yeah.
know.
The issue is I could totally see a blowout, but I could also see like Lamar Jackson pulling this out of his ass and like actually making it a game.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't know. I just don't know.
God, I'm just gonna say I think it's gonna be a close game, but Niners are gonna still win.
I am going to agree with you.
Yep.
Okay, 49ers got them. I might alt spread the 49ers by over a touchdown.
Damn.
And okay, a little Justin Cook up parlay here. Here's what I'm doing. I'm taking the 49ers minus like 7 or 7.5, depending on what like the split is. And then I'm gonna take the Cowboys money line and the Texans money line. Cook up a little parlay there. Should be worth your
You're so
your
cooked.
money.
It's so cooked.
While I let you know the odds on that, has your Super Bowl bubble or window changed at all in light of recent events?
I don't. It's the same thought I had a few weeks ago. I don't know. Like I legitimately cannot tell you how this playoffs is gonna play out. Like it's not clear cut or obvious. Like last season, everyone's like, "Yeah, the Eagles are gonna make the Super Bowl." It was pretty obvious we were gonna make the Super Bowl. This season, like, yeah,
What?
Last season?
Oh, last season.
Last season. No, this season, no.
Oh, I was like, the 49ers are really good, pal.
Like the only I can say like yeah, I can sit here and be like 49ers, yeah, they might just breeze through the NFC, whatever. But AFC's a bloodbath. You never know.
Yeah.
So my Super Bowl thing is I'm just gonna wait and see how everything plays out.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, there's genuinely just no way to know because there's no clear cut winners at this point. Besides the Niners, but we'll see. They are notorious jokers. So,
all right, folks, I put the bet down on what I said. I've got pull it up right here.
Oh, Embiid, 51 points against the T-Wolves.
Hey, I was just going to talk about that. 3-leg parlay, Texans money line, Cowboys money line, San Francisco tees down to -7.5. You can get that at +968, $3 to win 32. You'll come back to me next week, and I may do a lot of money.
I'm gonna fade that. I'm gonna
don't-
fade that. I'm fading.
Don't
it.
take gambling advice from me.
Dolphins money line, Browns money line, and I'm betting the Ravens to cover 7.
Well, are you teasing the Ravens 7? It's 5.5 now. I teased them.
Oh, whatever. I'm just gonna fade your parlay.
Okay, you're gonna fade my parlay.
so he's going
Well,
to do the exact opposite, and then you both are going to lose.
You're gonna
That's
get no
funny.
good. You're fading my parlay is no good odds. It's like, oh, Justin's parlay won't hit. So you could bet $5 and make like a penny.
Just to spite you.
Just out of spite.
And as Raj mentioned, the Philadelphia 76ers went up against the best team in the Western Conference, arguably the best team in the league, with
Shut
two
up.
great centers playing tonight. And Joel Embiid dropped 50 points. Give him the MVP award. They win by 14 against Minnesota. The 76ers are so back.
But what did it cost?
All
Cost
that
the
just
Eagles.
to lose in the second round.
We
Hey,
sacrificed the
pipe
Eagles
down.
for the Flyers.
Go Birds. All right. Anyone else got anything else?
Go Flyers.
I'm all good.
No, we can't do that here.
Yeah, go
All right,
Rangers. Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone. This is the Coconut Curry Podcast. Happy holidays to all, and we will see you next week.
Tommy DeVito, please don't die next week.
Fire Brian Johnson. The love of God.